It's a sunny and brisk fall day. I'm at a playground with my 3 amazing children, but I'm not fully present. I find myself mindlessly scrolling on my Instagram feed. I don't even know when I started to do it or why. I think 1 or 2 of my kids have been calling my name for the past 10 to 20 seconds, but I only take notice now. That guy, you know, the zombie parent at the park with their head buried in their phone and only looking up if there's a dire medical emergency, like a child breaking an arm or being engulfed in a swarm of wasps. Now, I should know better. I'm a social neuroscientist who studies the psychological effects of social media use. However, as my playground story illustrates, there are times when I am defenseless to the pull of my phone. It sneaks up on me and I give my attention away when I should be present, engaged, and connecting with the people around me. Indeed, many of our most meaningful and memorable connections take place in person, animated by facial expressions, vocal cues, and gestures, without which the connection may never have happened, or at least wouldn't have been as enriching and gratifying as it was. On the flip side, the exchanges we have with others on social media fall short. They give us a sense of faux intimacy, and if we're honest with ourselves, they're not as fulfilling, authentic, or invigorating as face-to-face interactions. This poses a paradox. How is it then in 2025 that we're swimming in technology that promises to connect us with almost anyone in the world, yet we find ourselves adrift and isolated from one another in the real world? I don't know about you, but I've been struck by how challenging it can be to start or hold a conversation with a stranger in a coffee shop or other public space. This leads to the central point of my talk today. Now, more than ever, we need to forego cheap and superficial online interactions and intentionally cultivate more meaningful connections in our digital age. How did we get here? In the last 15 to 20 years, social media apps have been optimized to create a strong and believable sense of connection with others. After all, we have constant and direct access to another person's life via their posts, photos, and reels. I must know someone well if I'm privy to the nitty-gritty details of their sourdough baking or dieting regimen. However, as we scroll, like, and comment, we can come away with feelings of inadequacy. We cannot help but compare our behind the scenes with others' carefully curated highlight reels. Any semblance of connection to others we may feel is fleeting. Yet, we keep going back to social media despite our need for meaningful human connection being unmet. This is no accident. Social media platforms are designed to keep us hooked. Their profitability hinges on user engagement, on capturing and holding our attention. Some have called this the attention economy, and it's a booming sector. Recent estimates indicate that in the US alone, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, X, and YouTube collectively pulled in $11 billion in advertising revenue in 1 year. With our permission, we have agreed to have our online interactions quantified and monetized, although I forgive you for not reading every word of a social media app's terms and conditions. And while social media can help forge initial connections with others, especially for marginalized individuals seeking mutual support, if we continue using social media over longer periods of time, hoping for connection, we will be disappointed. And critically, we will miss out on the richness, enjoyment, complexity, and yes, frustration of real-world interactions. True human connection cannot be reduced to likes, comments, and shares. So what should we do? I'm not going to suggest that we all delete our social media accounts after this talk and never use them again, although if we woke up tomorrow in an alternate universe where social media had never existed, I think we would be all the better for it. What I am going to suggest is that there are practical and achievable ways we can reimagine human connection in our digital age. Crucially, we can take these steps ourselves without waiting for social media companies to overhaul their products or prioritize people's well-being over raw profitability. First, we should aim for fewer, more impactful interactions online. Rather than opening Instagram out of habit, passively scrolling and comparing ourselves to others living their supposed best lives, What would happen if we went in with a goal to reach out to a specific person and promote an offline connection, such as rekindling an old friendship? Can you imagine asking out the prom king or queen from your high school to a coffee date? Or, and let's make this a homework assignment, dust off your high school yearbook and see what happened to the prom king or queen, or even the person named most likely to succeed. Next, ask them if they'd like to catch up over FaceTime, or, if you're feeling especially brave, over lunch. Another idea. What would happen if there were a pressing need in your community and you promoted a GoFundMe page on Facebook and told all your friends and neighbors about it? In addition to changing how we interact and connect online, we should also lean into meaningful and regular offline communication. One of the most concerning opportunity costs of spending hours on social media is all the time that could have been spent interacting with fellow humans in person. Indeed, our time and attention are arguably our most valuable assets, and we need to reclaim them. To counteract this, we could focus on a handful of relationships and family connections and make new habits to stay in regular contact with those who matter most to us. This should be natural to us as a social species, but social media has inserted itself so extensively into our daily lives that we feel like we don't have time to call or connect with others. Because of this, we need to be more intentional about our face-to-face interactions and how we can nurture them on a regular basis. In addition to maintaining offline connections with loved ones, we can forge connections in local communities based on shared interests that require face-to-face interactions, like yoga or pickleball. In the town where my family and I live, in central Massachusetts, I joined a running club a few years ago. This not only led to lasting friendships, but it opened doors to other connections in the community that I never could have anticipated.
Hey, Jerry. Go on.
As we take these steps to reclaim connection, I think the benefits will be enhanced if we work collectively. For example, imagine parents of middle schoolers who voluntarily form a pact to put clear constraints on both their own technology use and their children's, so every kid in the friend group will benefit from having more face-to-face interactions, and no one will feel left out by having their phone use restricted. Or imagine, but we don't have to imagine because someone recently did this in my community, a mother of young children organizes hikes on local rail trails with accompanying nature-themed activities and crafts and invites families with young children to join her. She advertises these events on Facebook, but the bulk of her interactions take place in person. She not only feels that our children are benefiting socially, but she feels newfound connection and camaraderie with other parents that she realizes was lacking before. These examples of how to bridge our online and offline worlds only scratch the surface, but they demonstrate things we can begin doing right now with the potential of immediate social and emotional benefits. In closing, I hope I've made a compelling case for how we can reimagine and reclaim human connection in the increasingly digital yet fragmented world in which we find ourselves in 2025. You probably noticed I didn't spend much time discussing how tech companies can and should do their part to minimize the harms of social media and the ways it can undermine human connection. The reason is that I believe we have had the freedom and power to flip the script all along. Let me illustrate with a hypothetical future scenario that I think is well within our reach. Fast forward to the year 2035. Imagine a global resurgence of civic engagement where people worldwide realize that they can enact solutions locally. This renewed interest sparks increased participation in both religious and secular organizations, fostering a stronger sense of community and connection among neighbors. Moreover, countries have begun implementing safety laws to regulate social media apps so young people have a slower on-ramp that minimizes bullying and other harms, but maximizes healthy connection with peers. By gradually increasing access to features as users mature, these regulations equip young people with the necessary skills and resilience to navigate the digital landscape safely and responsibly. How did all of this come about? Well, members of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, who were digital natives and most impacted by the first wave of social media from 2010 to 2025, led the charge to advocate for all of these changes. They, like all of us, know how powerful and primal is the need for social connection for our species. They know that we must honor and satisfy this need by embracing human interaction in all of its beauty and messiness. They know that this can only happen if we build bridges between our online and offline worlds, with the majority of our time best spent connecting with others in person, together, face to face. Thank you very much.